Hello everyone, I'm Diwas Dakal, graduate student from Cider Lab at the University of Washington in the United States. Today I'll talk about the valence to core X-ray emission spectroscopy of battery electrolytes. This research was conducted at the University of Washington with funding support from Jay Caesar and in collaboration with people at Argonne and Pacific Northwest National Labs. Here's the general outline of today's talk. I'll talk about some background on ion pairing. Then in methods, I'll show you our lab-based instruments, then some results and final conclusions and future directions. Now, before we begin, I want to mention here that the question of ion pairing is not only related to battery electrolytes, but it has been historically studied in the context of mineral formation in geoscience community, meaning that the problem is generic and needs to be characterized. Okay, with that said, now let's look at a previous study involving such a problem. The figure here shows the local coordination of zinc ion in aqueous solutions with different TFSI concentrations as mentioned above here. The authors here showed that the zinc ion is fully coordinated by TFSI in the first cell at higher concentrations, and this greatly improves the performance of batteries. And one thing to note here is that the composition of the first cell is important and evolves with concentration. All right. Now, our goal now in our experiment is to observe any crossover in zinc coordination in aqueous zinc chloride and zinc bromide solutions, chosen here as model electrolytes. Now, in many ways, this is an obvious question for ZANES and XAFs, and there are many such works, but here we choose a less obvious direction and use the valence to core X-ray emission. By the end of this talk, I hope to convince you that it was a good choice. Now, let me show you a setup, the setup that we used for this study. The left figure here shows a schematic in emission mode. Here, a broad spectrum commercial X-ray tube illuminates and causes X-ray emission from the sample. Then the emitted X-rays are, after passing through the slit placed at the Rowland circle, are Bragg reflected from the analyzer, the spherically bent crystal analyzer, and are counted down here at the detector. Now, the right figure shows the actual photo in ZANES mode. A helium filled box is introduced in the path to reduce scattering and absorption by air. This is our lab-based instrument that helped us avoid many costly synchrotron trips. Now, these experiments were conducted in ambient environment where the solution samples were contained in low absorption quartz capillary tubes, our liquid cell. The figure on the left here shows an isolated cell mounted on a holder. The middle one is the CAD for the setup that is shown on the right here. The sample is positioned about 5 millimeters from the exit window of the X-ray tube. All right, now let's see why VTC is a good choice for the problem. A quick refresher here. The figure is a schematic molecular orbital diagram for transition metal bonded to a ligand. Now, in case of transition metals, the K alpha and the K beta are essentially core-to-core transition, but the valence to core arises from transition from the hybridized molecular orbitals and is sensitive to the ligand and coordination symmetry. Okay. Now, if we dig up the literature, attempts like ours have been made, but only in solids. Let's look at one of them. And this is from a titanium compound study by Gallo et al. This top panel here shows the theory and the bottom one shows the experiment. The main point to note here is the transition from one peak for the octahedral to two peaks for the tetrahedral coordination, a clear signature. Now, since VTC is due to the valence level electronic structure, it is overwhelmingly sensitive to the coordination symmetry of the first cell, unlike the XAFs and ZANES, which are also sensitive to the outer shells. And the theory for VTC is also well established. Okay, now let me show what we did for our experiment. Now, the top left figure here shows the full range of the scan, spanning the main K beta and the valence to core region, which is very important. For our experiment, we use this K beta feature to normalize the spectra and then actually analyze the small VTC feature. After a constant background subtraction, the spectra were integral normalized over the main K beta region over 9550 to 9600 EVs and were shifted to mass with the literature value. And the main assumption here is that for zinc ion, the K beta feature coming from the 3p to 1s transition will be relatively unperturbed because of the completely filled 3d orbitals and zero net spin. This is very crucial to the success of our experiment. The bottom right figure here shows the normalized K beta for many samples, and the actual alignment of the spectra here shows that the process is working. Okay. Now with this normalization, let's look at the valence to core. The left figure here shows the valence to core spectra for pure zinc chloride solutions with concentrations as indicated in the legend here. There's a gradual change in spectral features as indicated by the arrows. The right figure here shows the spectra for solutions with 1 molar zinc chloride with added chloride as indicated in the legend. Similar change is seen here, but the feature at 9655 EV does not saturate at a lower level as it does in the left figure here. You have to note here that there is one peak for low concentration samples with octahedral coordination, whereas there's two peaks, distinct peaks for tetrahedral coordination or the higher concentration samples. Okay, the feature in the red circle here is double electron feature. I don't want you to worry about that for now. We will not use that in our analysis. But I want you to note one thing, that both of these in both of these figures, all the spectra pass to one crossing point, right? So let's look at that. Now, in this figure, these are for zinc bromide solutions. As you can see, the results are similar evolution of the features and a crossing point. There's some differences in the numbers, but the trend is same. For this audience, it's obvious that the occurrence of an isospecific point or the crossing point indicates the presence of only two species which are related linearly by stoichiometry. And so we went ahead and performed a linear combination fit on our spectra. And here's what we get. For the endpoints, we used the most dilute solution with octahedral coordination and the most concentrated solution with tetrahedral coordination, as indicated by these little cartoons over here. These are generally good fits. The bottom panel here actually is one of the worst ones, which is still pretty good. With these fits, we were able to extract the fractional contribution of octahedral and tetrahedral species, which are plotted here. As you can see, the tetrahedral contribution saturates around 50% in the pure zinc chloride and in the zinc bromide solution studies, which makes sense because there are not enough ligand ions here. Whereas it reaches the higher amplitude in experiments with increased ion activity, where there are enough ligands to make the full tetra, chloro, or bromo complexes. Now, to sum up these results, a manuscript comparing these results with synchrotron X-ray genes is in preparation. Now, to conclude briefly, we achieved normalization to consistent scale, revealing isospecific point and ion pairing. Quantitatively explained the evolution of first shell coordination around zinc ion, and used a lab-based instrument for the study. So having set a firm experimental protocol now, in the future, we could look at more relevant and complex battery electrolytes and at the problem of ion pairing in general. As I mentioned earlier, ion pairing is a generic question, not only related to battery electrolytes. Now, finally, I will say that we were lucky. We had a favorable case where zinc ion was always in 3D10 state with zero net spin. But can we use this normalization technique with different oxidation states, different spin states, even K-alpha normalization? Yeah, these are all good questions for the future. So with this, I would like to thank you very much for your attention.